Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loko Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatam Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loko Tranaya Karuna Ganaganatam Praptasya Kalyana Gurunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Praptasya Gurunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Mahaprabhu ki tananitya gita Vaditra madhyam Manasurasena Mahaprabhu ki Vaditra madhyam Romanchakam pasru taranga bhajo Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Romanchakam Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shringara Tanma Niramajanado Juktasya bhaktamsya niyunjatopi Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Satana Traptan Hari Bhakta Sangha Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Satana Traptan Kritaiva Trapte Bhajata Shadeva Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Shiradikama Vabayarapara Madhurya Lila Gunarupanamna Shiradikama Vabayarapara Pratikshana swa danalalupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Ne kunjayono ratikeli siddhai Jajari veri joktir apekshaniya Nikunja yona ratikeli siddhai Tatrati daksha ativalavasya Bande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam. Sachadhari Dena Shamasta Shashre Ruktastathava Vyataiva Sarve. Kintu pravarja priya eva tasya Bande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam. Yasya prasada Bhagavad prasada Yasya prasadam Nagati kutapi. Yasya prasadam Bhagavad prasadam Yasya prasadam Nagati kutapi. Dayam stuvam tasya Yasatri sandhyam Bande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam. Bande Guru Shri Charanara. Dayam stuvam tasya Yasatri sandhyam Bande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitina Mine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya. Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nebrishesha Shunavadi Pachata Deshata Rine. Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Nivishesha Shunavadi. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadita Shivasari. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Advaita Gadadhara. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Bol, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hariyaraye Namah, Krishna Jadavaye Namah, Jadavaye Madhavaye Keshavaya Namah, Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan, Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan, Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita, Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhattaraguna, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Shishi Radha Nila Madhava, Radha Nila Madhava Radhe. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra. Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasingha, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Go, Haribo, Nitai Go. Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Go, Nitai Gora Pramanandi Haribo. Jayam Vishpara Param Saprabhajaka Acharya Sutora Sarasi Shemad Divine Grace Abhajravina Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Pratishta Viviti Samstapaka Acharya Vaishnava Siramani Patita Pavana Shira Prabhupada Ji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gauriya Guru Varga Patita Udhar Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhattara Gunath Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Guna Sat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ji Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Param Dayal Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Primanama Sankirtan Eka Janaka Prema Purushottama Sri Sachinandana Shriman Gauranga Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gaur Hari Mavrina Avatar Ki Jai. Golokera Pramadhan Harinam Sankirtan Jaga Ki Jai. Yoga Dharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Brihat Nidanga Transcendental Book Distribution Seva Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopna Radha Kund Samakund Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Brajabhim Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai. डेलो शिव श्री श्री राधा नीला माधव की जय, श्री श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप एक चक्र धाम की जय, परम करुण श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय, श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, श्री श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु स्मस्पद्र देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय, सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान जी की जय, भक्ति सर्व विघ्न विनाशन कृष्ण भगवान की जय, जय गंगा माय जमुना माय की जय, तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी भक्ति देवी की जय, श्री मथुरा रानी की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर परमानंदे हरि बोल। All glories to somebody bodies. All glories to somebody bodies. All glories to somebody bodies. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga Hari Bol.
Namaste Narasimhaya Praladadaine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatan khana khalae Hito narsimha parato narsimha Yato yato yami tato narsimha Bahir narsimha hridaye narsimha Narasimha madhim sharanam prapade Tav kar kamalvare nakham adbhuta shringam Dalita hiranyakashipu tanubringam Keshavadhirita narhari rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Keshavadhirita narhari rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो नरसिंहदेव जयो भक्त प्रहलाद जयो भक्त प्रहलाद जयो भक्त प्रहलाद जयो प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल नरसिंह देव भगवान की जय प्रहलाद महाराज की जय
जय श्री भक्ति प्रभु सब विघ्नाशना नरसिंह देव भगवान की जय भक्त श्रेष्ठ प्रहलाद महाराज की जय निताय गौरारी प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल श्री वृंदाई तुलसी बाई प्रिय सब सत्य कृष्ण भक्ति प्यारे सतगताए वृंदाई तुलसी बाई प्रिय सब सत्य कृष्ण भक्ति प्यारे सतगताए
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो ए अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो जे तुम्हारा शरण लोए तारा वंचा पूर्ण हो जे तुम्हारा शरण लो कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावनवासी कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावन मोरा अभिलाष बिलास कुंजे दियो बास नायाने है रिबो सदा जुगल रूप राशि नायाने है रिबो हे निवेदन धर सखीरानुगत करो सेवाधिकार दिए करो निज दासी दीन कृष्ण दास कोए नमोर होए श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदाए नवासी राधा राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे सदाए नवासी श्री राधा गोविंदा प्रेमे तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण यासी नमो याने कानी चा पापानी ब्रह्म हत्याधिकानि चा तानि तानि प्राण शांति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि कानि चा पापानि ब्रह्म हत्यादिकानि चा तानि तानि प्रणक्षन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे यानि चा पापानि ब्रह्म हत्यादिकानि चा तानि तानि प्रणक्षन्ति प्रदक्षिणा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Hare Hare. Jayo Tulsi Maharani, Jayo Tulsi Maharani, Jayo Tulsi Maharani, Jayo Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jayo Tulsi Maharani, Jayo Tulsi Maharani, Jayo Tulsi Maharani. Jayo Vrinda Devi, 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 Jayo Vrinda Devi. Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. जय तुलसी महारानी की जय।
Tulsi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to attend the service of Shri Radha and Krishna. We will take shelter of his wishes fulfilled. Bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also give me a residence in pleasure groves of Shri Vrindavan. Thus within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of Kavitams as Uvraj. Please give me the privilege to divorce from service and make me all-man servant. His very full and lowly servant Krishna praise. May I always sing aloud Shri Radha Govind. Shri Mati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Mahaprabhu Sikshastakam Ki Jai. Cheto Darpanam Majanam Bhavamada Vangivapanam Shreyakari Vachandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatmasnam Param Param Vijayati Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Vaudha Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pitani Amita Shmarane Nakala Itadrushi Tava Kripaya Bhagavan Mamapi Durdhaivamidrishamyajane nanuraga Trinadapi sunicena Tarorapi saishnuna Amaninamanadena Kirtaniya sadahari Na dhanam na janam na sundarim Kavitam vajagadishakamaye Mama janmani janmanishari Bhavatar bhakti raituki tvai Ainandatanuja kinkaram Paritamam visame bhavam buddho Kripaya tava pada pankaja Stita hridaya gira Pulakarin chitam vapukada Tava nama grahane bhavisati Juga itam nimishena Chakrusha prarusa itam Sunya itam jagata sarvam Govinda virahiname Asri Shabhapadaratam pinastumam Adarshanar marmahatam karotuva Jata tathava vidadatulam pato Matprana tastu saivana para Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sekhastakam Ki Jai Namo Mahavaranaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Teshe Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. They are not hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself Lord and strong and straight, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your casual devotion service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yes, some or other I've fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes will be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I feel all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he sure remains so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sekhastakam Ki Jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who dedicate a life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods and Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature and pursuits of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8. To to consider chanting Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which often Vedas as fruitive activity karma kanda. 9. To instruct the fatherless person about the glories of holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas, the worship of the Lord. They are just like desired trees, they can fulfill the desire of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Tadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sagana Raghunatavintam Tam Sajivam Sadhitam Savadutam Parijanam Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Namo Krishna Padaya Krishna Krishna Rudale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesha Shunavadi Prasatari Swarini Namo Krishna Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Namini Shiva Shavana Devi Kaitaya Kirtavdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dhamine Prabhave Namaha Madhu Jyotala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktidata Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virutapa Siddhanta Mantarine Namaguru Kishoraya Sakyavedaya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambhove Paramujayate Namaha Namo Bhaktinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swamupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Vibhava Bhumitsvam Nirdesh Sajana Priya Vaishnava Sarva Bhuma Sri Jagannatayate Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaranayo Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratveshe Namaha Panchatattvamakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avatara Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanto Radha Kanto Namostute Jayatam Suratopangor Mama Manda Matir Gati Masarvasya Padam Bhujo Radha Madanamohana
Upanishad Shri Brahmasamhita ki jai. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi Radhi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakarasatma Sukalpa Vriksha Raksha Vridesa Surabhira Vipaliyantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambrahma Sevyamanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venam Kvanantam Ravinda Vilayataksam Parhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Visesha Sobam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Mukchanga Kalasadvanamalya Vamsi Ratnam Gadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Shamam Tribanga Lalita Lita Prakasam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiram Jaganti Yamyanda Chinmaya Sadujwala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Mananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vede Sudurlabha Madurlabha Matpakto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastakoti Fasataptadam Sampragamyo Ayoratapi Manaso Muni Pungamanam Sopyasti Yat Prapadasimya Vichintya Tatve Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ekopya Sura Chayatum Jagadanda Kotim Yaschaktirasti Jagadanda Chaya Yadanta Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Bhava Bhavita Diyo Manajasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanamanubusa Suktaryameva Nigama Pratitaistuvanti Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasat Pratibhavitabhis Tabirya eva nija rupa taya kalabi Goloka eva nivasata kilatma bhuto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksadeva Hridesu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundari Machintya Guna Swarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Sukhalani Amena Tistan Nana Vataram Akarod Bhuvane Sukintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramam Pumam Yo Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Kotisvasesa Vasudadi Vibhuti Binam Tad Brahma Niskalam Anantam Asesa Bhutam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Maya Yasya Jagadanda Satani Sute Trigunya Tad Vishaya Veda Vitayamanam Sattva Vulambi Parasattvam Visuddha Sattvam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmataya Manasu Ya Praninam Pratifalam Smaratam Upetya Lilayatena Bhuvanani Jaya Yajasram Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Goloka Namni Nijadamni Tale Chatasya Devi Mahesu Haridama Sute Sutesu Te Te Prabhava Nichaya Vihitascha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Shristi Stati Pralaya Sada Vasakti Reka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvarani Vivarti Durga Ichanu Rupam Abhyasya Chachesta Tesa Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Shiram Yata Dadi Vikara Vishesa Yoga Sanjayate Nahitata Pritakasti Hetu Yasambhutam Apitata Samapaiti Daryat Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Deparchad Eva Disantanam Abhyabhetya Depayate Vivita Hetu Samanu Dharma Yastadrigeva Hicha Vishnu Taya Vibhati Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yakarna Narna Vajale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidram Ananta Jagadanda Sarumakupaha Adhara Shakta Bhavalambhya Param Samurtim Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Prajami Jaika Nisva Satakala Matavalambhya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadanda Nata Vishnur Mahan Sahiyasya Kala Vishesho Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Basman Yatasma Sakalesha Nijesha Teja Shriyam Kiyat Prakatayat Apitadvatatra Brahmaya Esa Jagadanda Vidana Karta Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Pada Palavayukam Viridaya Kumbha Dvande Pranama Samayesa Ganadi Raja Vignan Vihanta Malamasya Jagatrayasya Govindam Adi Purisham Rajami Angani Mustisascha Kalastatatma Manasiti Jagajayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Visanti Yamcha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yaschak Suresa Sabita Sakala Grahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Resha Yasya Gaya Brahmati Chambrita Chala Chakro Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmo Tapapa Nichayastra Dayasta Pamsi Brahmadi Kita Patagava Dayasta Jiva Yadata Matra Vibhava Prakata Prabhava Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yastrindra Gopa Mahavendra Mahusvakarma Bandhanu Rupa Falabhajana Matanoti Karmani Nirdahati Kintu Chabakti Bhajam Govindam Adi Purisham Bhajami Yam Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Bhitti Vatsalya Moha Gura Gaura Vasevya Bhavai Sanchintya Tasya Sadvisim Tanumapurete Govindam Adi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Shriya Kanta Kanta Parama Purisha Kalpataravo Druma Bhumis Chintamani Ganamai Toyam Amritam Kataganam Natyam Gamanam Apivamsi Priyasaki Chidarandam Jati Param Apistad Asvadyam Apicha Sayacha Shiradi Bihi Sravati Sirabhyascha Sumahan Nime Sardakya Vavrajati Nahiya Trapi Samaya Braje Sveta Dvipam Tamaham Iha Golakamitiyam Vidantas Te Santakshati Vira Jara Katipaye Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Nadiradi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare See Brahmasamhita Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, Verse number 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, text number 4. Stitir Vakunta Vijaya Posanam Tad Anugraha Manvantarani Saddharma Utaya Karmavasana Stiti, the right situation. Vaikunta Vijaya, the victory of the Lord of Vaikunta. Posanam, maintenance. Tat Anugraha, his causeless mercy. Vanmantarani, the reign of the Manus. Sat Dharma, perfect occupational duty. Utaya, impetus to work. Karma vasana, desire for fruitive work. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The right situation for the living entities is to obey the laws of the Lord, and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Manus and their laws are meant to give right direction in life. The impetus for activity is the desire for fruitive work. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The material world is created, maintained for some time, and again annihilated by the will of the Lord. The ingredients for creation and a subordinate creator, Brahma, are first created by Lord Vishnu in his first and second incarnations. The first Purusha incarnation is Mahavishnu, and the second Purusha incarnation is the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, from whom Brahma is created. The third Purusha avatar is the Kshirodakshay Vishnu, who lives as the supersoul of everything in the universe and maintains the creation generated by Brahma. Shiva is one of the many sons of Brahma, and he annihilates the creation. Therefore, the original creator of the universe is Vishnu, and he is also the maintainer of the created beings by his causeless mercy. As such, it is the duty of all conditioned souls to acknowledge the victory of the Lord and thus become pure devotees and live peacefully in this world where miseries and dangers are always in existence. The conditioned souls who take this material creation as the place for satisfaction of the senses and thus are illusioned by the external energy of Vishnu remain again to be subjected to the laws of material nature, creation, and destruction. In the Bhagavad Gita it is said that beginning from the topmost planet of this universe down to the lowest planet, Patala Loka, all are destructible, and the conditioned souls may travel in space either by good or bad work or by the modern spacecraft, but they are sure to die everywhere, although the duration of life is different in different planets is different. The only means to attain eternal life is to go back home, back to Godhead, where there is no more rebirth, as in the material planets. The conditioned souls, being unaware of this very simple fact because of forgetting their relationship with the Lord of Vaikuntha, try to plan out a permanent life in this material world. Being illusioned by the external energy, they thus become engaged in various types of economic and religious development, forgetting that they are meant for going back home, back to Godhead. This forgetfulness is so strong due to the influence of Maya that the conditioned souls do not at all want to go back to Godhead. By sense enjoyment, they become victims of birth and death repeatedly and thus spoil human lives, which are chances for going back to Vishnu. The directive scriptures made by the Manus in different ages and millenniums are called Saddharma, good guidance for the human beings, who should take advantage of all the revealed scriptures for their own interest to make life's successful termination. The creation is not false, but it is a temporary manifestation just to give a chance for the conditioned souls to go back to Godhead. The desire to go back to Godhead and functions performed in that direction form the right path of work. When such a regulative path is accepted, the Lord gives all protection to his devotees by his causeless mercy, while the non-devotees risk their own activities to bind themselves in a chain of fruitive reactions. The word Saddharma is significant in this connection. Saddharma, or duty performed for going back to Godhead, and thus becoming his, or Krishna's, unalloyed devotee, is the only pious activity. All others may pretend to be pious, but actually they are not. It is for this reason only that the Lord advises in the Bhagavad Gita that one give up all so-called religious activities and completely engage in the devotional service of the Lord to become free from all anxieties due to the dangerous life of material existence. To work, situated in Saddharma, is the right direction of life. One's aim of life should be to go back home, back to Godhead, and not be subjected to the repeated births and deaths in the material world by getting good or bad bodies for temporary existence. Herein lies the intelligence of human life, and one should desire the activities of life in that way. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. The right situation for the living entities is to obey the laws of the Lord and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Manus and their laws are meant to give right direction in life. The impetus for activity is the desire for fruitive work. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Well, here is a simple outline of what is the purpose of life. And we should ask ourselves, hey, what is this meaning of living in this planet? There are already millions of planets in this universe, more than millions of planets. And we have a particular type of body, and we have intelligence, and a mind and intelligence. What is the purpose of all this? I once asked my father that. I remember I was only like I think 9 or 10 years old. And I said, Dad, every day we wake up and we eat something, and I go to school, then I come back, eat something at school, and come back, eat something again, do some homework, and I go to sleep. And what's the meaning of all this? Why are we doing this? And he slapped me really hard. He said, don't ask stupid questions. I didn't ask any questions after that. But I didn't have an idea what was the purpose of all this until I met the devotees. And then in this by reading Bhagavad Gita with a devotee who was coming to where I was staying at that time, and he read the Bhagavad Gita, and then at that time I said, oh, now I understand what the purpose of life is. We're supposed to go back to Godhead. That's where we were before, and we came from there. I said, I don't remember it, but that's what he's saying here, right? So here he's saying that clearly here also. And what's confusing is the fact that we're in a state of Maya in the material world, and we're engaged in all kinds of fruitive activities. And the word fruitive does not exist in the English language, by the way. Why don't you look it up, see if that word is there in the dictionary. Fruitive. No, it's not there. The Prabhupada made it up. Because he didn't have a proper word in English, so he just made that up. In other words, activities in which a person wants to enjoy the fruit of the activity for themselves. So there was no word like that in English. So he made it up, But we understand what it means. So I didn't understand what it meant at first, because first of all, it wasn't in the dictionary. You can get an idea. You're working for the fruit of your work, right? So I didn't understand at first what was the difference between fruitive work and just work. Well, there is work meant to please Krishna, and there's work meant to please ourselves. So what we're actually doing is all the work we're doing in the material world, if you're not Krishna conscious, is just to please yourself or your family or your extended family or humanity. So it's very perplexing for young people to understand what is actually the purpose of life. They don't teach it in schools. Well, they teach it, but it's in a subtle way. They're teaching that the purpose of life is sense gratification, and that's what most kids think. You know, one time there's this one boy who's a member of a prominent family here in the Seattle area, and he had just graduated from high school. So I was talking to him, and I said, "What are you going to try and do when you go to college?" And he said, "Well, I want to get an education so I can get a good job and make money." I said, "So if your purpose is to make money, if you were given an opportunity to make a lot of money by doing something illegal, would you do it?" He said, "Well, if I thought I could get away with it, yes." Now, this kid's only 17, 18 years old. How did he learn that? Where did he get that idea from, that if he could get away with it, he would do it to make a lot of money? Well, he saw that happening in his own family, and his father did get away with it for some time, and became very rich. So this is dangerous. This is very dangerous. Sometimes you see in movies for people that get away with illegal activity, and they become very rich and powerful, and and it looks very glamorous. So if a person thinks they can get away with something, even though it's wrong, but yet they think they can do that, they'll do it nowadays. And you see it happening every day. And then they get caught, and they have to suffer. And if they're never caught, and they get away with it, then they'll get worse karma in their next life, much, much worse. So no one can get away with anything. That's the point. Do they teach that in school? Well, they try to, in a sense, teach a few principles of morality. But the culture does not really teach that. There are classes and some kind of morality, but it's mundane morality, but still it's some kind of morality. But the culture itself doesn't really teach that, because you're seeing all kinds of movies and things where people get away with things for some time, at least, and they enjoy, intense sense gratification, and then eventually get caught, and sometimes they don't get caught in the movies. Sometimes the bad guys win. So this idea of getting, if I think I can get away with it, I would do it, is extremely dangerous. And it's all present nowadays. It's not as if kids are very, let's say, emphatically taught not to do anything illegal. Because the bad guys are glorified in the movies and in the books and in the culture. So. But here, there's no glorification of the bad guys. If anything, Prabhupada keeps explaining how nobody can get away with anything, right? And what's interesting in the Ishopanishad, Prabhupada explains, he says, the root of all evil is deliberate disobedience to the laws of nature by disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord. Now that is a definition that we should memorize. Why? Because it explains why people suffer and why they commit sinful activities. Deliberate disobedience of the laws of nature. Well, what are the laws of nature? Prabhupada says laws of nature means laws of God or dharma. That's what it means, laws of nature. It's dharma. Dharma means occupational duties that you are obliged to do because the Lord mandates it. He wants all living entities to live according to his instructions. But if you live according to the instructions of Krishna, there are many wonderful benefits that have to be emphasized, that should be emphasized to people so they understand the benefits. So what is that? Shinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantaksto badrani vidunati suhitsatam. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literature, so to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita, is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best-wishing friend, and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. So if we regularly hear on a daily basis Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Lord who's in our heart takes special interest in us, and then becomes a best-wishing friend and helps us in every way to get purified and by constantly engaging in hearing him. So this is a definite benefit, benediction, blessing. It is a definite, wonderful result of becoming Krishna conscious. Who would be a better friend and helper than Krishna himself? So in other words, people who don't regularly hear about Krishna and are not interested about learning about God, they're interested in learning about how to make money and how to do this, how to do that, they are under the control of the demigods. But one who takes an interest on a daily basis to hear about Krishna and who actually follows what he hears or Krishna's advice, Krishna takes a special interest in that person and becomes a best-wishing friend, reveals himself proportionately to their surrender to him and service to him, and becomes a protector of the devotee. What could you ask that's better than that? Right? You can't get anybody else that can protect you like Krishna can. You can't get anybody else who can reveal knowledge to you better than Krishna can. You see, we don't realize how powerful the message is in this one verse, right? And that's only one verse. How about all the other verses? So you just take one verse, and that's enough to take you back to Godhead. That's enough to take you back to Godhead. Right? Just like we have the invocation verse of the Ishopanishad. Now, we only covered 2 points that are in that 2-page purport, that verse. There are 6 more points made in that short purport. So it says, Om Purnam Ada Purnam Yidam Purnat Purnam Vadachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. So it says, the personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. So how many times does he say complete, right? So many times in this one verse. And it's a little bewildering, the verse, because you're not exactly sure what he's saying. So therefore, Prabhupada explains. There are 8 major points that he explains in the purport. And he says, the complete whole, or the supreme absolute truth, is the complete personality of Godhead. Realization of impersonal Brahman, or of Paramatma, the Supersoul, is incomplete realization of the absolute complete. So when he says the complete whole, he's talking about the supreme personality of Godhead. Now, who is that? That's Lord Krishna, right? The supreme personality of Godhead is Sat Chitananda Vigraha. Realization of impersonal Brahman is realization of his Sat feature, or his aspect of eternity. And Paramatma realization is realization of Sat and Chit features. That means eternity and knowledge. His aspects of eternity and knowledge. But realization of the personality of Godhead is realization of all the transcendental features, Sat, Chit, Ananda, or eternity, knowledge, and bliss. When one realizes the Supreme Person, he realizes these aspects of the Absolute Truth in their completeness. Vigraha means form. Thus, the complete whole is not formless. If he were formless, or if he were less than his creation in any other way, he could not be complete. The complete whole must contain everything both within and beyond our experience, otherwise he is not complete. So that is point number one right there. And as I said the last time we read this a couple days ago, if you understand just point number one, you'll be able to defeat anyone in a discussion about God. Because most people will say something that's insulting to God. In what way? Oh, the impersonal say, well, he doesn't have a form. What? You're saying that the complete, absolute, perfect, Supreme Personality of Godhead does not have something that you have? You have a form, and you just insulted God because he's perfect and complete. You see? So one time I was on a television program on a station that's in Seattle, where it's a public service station where it gives people a chance to have a television program, and it's free. So there was a Muslim, there was a Sikh, and myself, who was supposed to be representing Hinduism. And the Muslim and the Sikh both agreed that God doesn't have a form. And I looked at him, I said, you both just insulted God. You insulted Allah, and you insulted whoever you think is God. They said, what do you mean? We said, who are you to tell us that we insulted God? I said, I'm the person telling you because you are claiming to have something that God does not have. Therefore, you insulted him. They were like flabbergasted. They couldn't believe what I said, right? But it's a fact. And because this is the first point here. Thus, the complete whole is not formless. If he were formless, or if he were less than his creation in any other way, he could not be complete. The complete whole must contain everything both within and beyond our experience. Otherwise, he cannot be complete. Okay? That's point one. Now, point two, the complete whole, the personality of Godhead, has immense potencies, all of which are as complete as he is. Thus, this phenomenal world is also complete in itself. The 24 elements, of which this material universe is a temporary manifestation, are arranged to produce everything necessary for the maintenance and subsistence of this universe. No other unit in the universe need make any extraneous effort to try to maintain the universe. The universe functions on its own time scale, which is fixed by the energy of the complete whole, and when that schedule is completed, this temporary manifestation will be annihilated by the complete arrangement of the complete whole. Now, what does this mean exactly? it means that anything that comes from Krishna, whether it's the material world or the material nature, whether it's the living entities like you and me, are complete units. Complete meaning they don't need anything else to help them go back to Godhead. They have everything complete and perfect. You don't need cell phones, you don't need telephones, you don't need airplanes, you don't need bridges, you don't need tunnels, you don't need cars to go back to Godhead. You have everything because you're perfect and complete. Any unit that emanates from Krishna is also perfect and complete, such as the material world and such as living entities. Living entities are a marginal potency of the Lord, and the material world is the external potency of the Lord. The Lord is perfect and complete, and everything that comes from him is also perfect and complete. So we see Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva doesn't have computers, doesn't have any of those things, but yet he's perfect and complete. Look at all the literature he's writing. He's a liberated soul in the material world. He's still alive today. See? So this is something we don't realize. We're not taught. We think we're incomplete without a chip in the brain, which is coming soon by Elon Musk. They're going to insert the chip in the brain. You'll have internal, network. You can see television internally. You can hear the news internally. You'll have an internal dictionary. If there's something you don't know, you can look it up right away internally. So yeah, you'll have cancer internally in the brain. You'll be getting electromagnetic waves directly going into your brain. So, but wait a minute, we don't need that. We're already perfect and complete. We just have to wake up and understand what Krishna has done. He's given us everything we need, and he's continuing to give us. We simply have to hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. We can attain this perfectness and completeness. So it says, everything is already arranged, and everything is already perfect and complete. Point 3. So we didn't cover 3 to 8. Now we're going to cover 3 to 8. We already covered the first 2 previously. All facilities are given to the small complete units, namely the living beings, to enable them to realize the complete whole. We don't need anything. We don't need, computers, and we don't need internet, and we don't need all these things. Because all facilities are given to the small complete units. It's referring to the living beings, you and me, right? To enable them to realize the complete whole, to realize who Krishna is, what our relationship is with Krishna, and to act in that relationship. All forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. Yes, we don't realize what our potential is because we have incomplete knowledge of who Krishna is and what is our relationship with Krishna. He is perfect and complete, and we are a perfect and complete unity or unit that's emanated from him. So we're also perfect and complete, because it says everything that emanates from him is also perfect and complete. So all forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. So why is there incomplete knowledge of Krishna? Because there are very clever people who want to exploit our energy for their benefit. That's why. Therefore, they have a system of education that keeps our knowledge incomplete, so that we can be exploited for their benefit. Now, that sounds pretty horrible, but it's the fact. It's the fact that we are purposely being kept in ignorance so that we can be exploited. But if we use our energy in the service of Krishna, which is what Prabhupada said in this purport, right? Let's look at that purport again and what he's saying. He's saying in the purport, not only here in the Ishopanishad, but in this purport today, he says, the conditioned souls being unaware, this is the second paragraph, the conditioned souls being unaware of this very simple fact because of forgetting their relationship with the Lord of Vaikuntha, try to plan out a permanent life in this material world. That's what everyone is doing. They're trying to plan out a permanent life in the material world, which is impossible. In the material world, in this temporary body, it is impossible to have a permanent life, right? Being illusioned by the external energy, they thus become engaged in various types of economic and religious development, forgetting that they are meant for going back home, back to Godhead. How are they remaining incomplete? They're becoming engaged in various kinds of economic and religious development, forgetting that they are meant for going back home, back to Godhead. So even certain types of religious development are also illusory, are also false, are also misleading of the living entity. You see, we're living in a world of misconception. And as long as we accept that, we remain incomplete. We cannot go back to Godhead. Right? So this is point 3. And it says, all forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. That's why the British, they tried to convince every Indian that your scriptures are mythology. They're not real. They are ancient scriptures full of non-scientific, non-rational, what you would call reasonable statements. Therefore, you should rely on our science, reason, and logic, and not waste your time studying your mythological literatures. And they succeeded. They convinced generations of Indians that their scriptures are nonsense, and the real facts are learned through science and reason and logic. So he's saying here, the human form of life is a complete manifestation of the consciousness of the living being, and it is obtained after evolving through 8,400,000 species of life in a cycle of birth and death. That's point 3, right? We have already gone through 8,400,000 species of life. Can we remember it? No. If we remembered it, we'd be forced to be Krishna conscious, right? But no, Krishna arranges it so we have to voluntarily accept it. And most people cannot. They say, what? I don't remember taking birth and death. But wait a minute, even in this body, we have experienced many births and deaths. What happened to that little fish? What happened to that connection of that fish to the ovum? What happened to the ovum when it had 9 holes in it? What happened to it when it became a fetus? And those 9 holes became 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, a mouth, an anus, and genital. See? All those bodies that we already have had, are dead. And we're in this body now, and it's changing also every day. And eventually the body will be old, decrepit, and shriveled up, and then we'll die. Right? So we already have experienced many bodies in this life. So it's very reasonable that we have had many bodies in previous lives. If you accept that the soul is eternal, then you can understand that your relationship with God. So what do? Their plan is to convince you that you do not have an eternal soul. You only have a temporary body. They teach that in school. They teach that in archaeology classes. You see, the whole system is to convince you that you do not have a soul that's eternal. You just have a body. As soon as you become convinced of that, then you think, well, the goal then is to enjoy as much as I can in this life. And then they convince you that when you die, there's nothing. So there's no responsibility. You can do whatever you want in this life as long as you can get away with it. If you think you can get away with it, then you can do it. You see how all these conclusions become accepted even by a 17-year-old kid. He was trained in school to believe these nonsense ideas. And therefore, he's trained to be exploited throughout life and to try and be an exploiter also if he's clever enough. And he's not going to be responsible because when you die, there's nothing. Okay, that's point 3. Point 4, if in this human life of full consciousness, the living entity does not realize his completeness in relation to the complete whole, he loses the chance to realize his completeness and is again put into the evolutionary cycle of the law of material nature: birth, death, old age, and disease. That's number 4. In other words, if we don't get real education, we accept the junk education and waste the rest of our life trying to do something that's impossible. That is, have some permanent situation in this body, in the material world. Then we are again put into the evolutionary cycle. But what does it mean, evolutionary cycle? It means we're going to go through the 8,400,000 species again to be able to come back to a civilized human form, to have another chance at becoming liberated from the cycle of birth and death. This is horrible. This is crazy. You know, who would be, we have this chance now, we're not going to take it. We're going to be convinced by modern education not to take it and to waste our energy again trying to make a permanent position for happiness in the material world. Point 4. Point number 5. Because we do not know that there is a complete arrangement in nature for our maintenance, we make efforts to utilize the resources of nature to create a so-called complete life of sense enjoyment. We don't know. Krishna says, what does this mantra say? It says, well, the next mantra is going to say, but this mantra implies it, that everything's already perfect and complete. Even our maintenance has been provided for. See, it's implied in this first verse, but in the second verse he says it explicitly. Ishavaisham idam sarvam jatkinja jagatyam jagatena taktena punjataha mahagritaha kashyasridanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself or herself, which are set aside as his quota. So you see, set aside as the quota, meaning God, because he's perfect and complete, has set aside for you and me everything that we need for minimal maintenance of body and soul together. We don't have to really extraneously work for it. We have to work, but we don't need to work unnecessarily by overindulgence in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, because it's already provided for us by Krishna. Just like he's provided it for all the living entities, the elephants, the insects, everybody. There's this recent news that even monkeys and chimpanzees, gorillas, they also have some medical self-treatment. And they carefully by observing the captive monkeys and chimpanzees and gorillas, when they have some scratch or a little injury, they treat it, and they have videos of the treatment where they take a particular insect and sort of crush it and put it onto their wounds. They also have a medical knowledge, you see. So it's all about observation. And then they suddenly realize, wait a minute, these guys got some medical treatment also. They don't have to go to Walmart or what is that, Walgreens. They got their own Walgreens walking around like a little insect, right? And they know how to grab it and press it onto the wound, right? So look it up. You can find it on the internet. It was in the news like 2 days ago. Because everything is perfect and complete already. So this point 5, because we do not know that there's a complete arrangement in nature for our maintenance, our eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, we make efforts to utilize the resources of nature to create a so-called complete life of sense enjoyment. There's no such thing as a complete life of sense enjoyment. We can try and make it, but it'll come and go, because everything is going to come and go in the material world. Because the living entity cannot enjoy the life of the senses without being dovetailed with the complete whole. So that's point 5. Because the living entity cannot enjoy, that was point 5. Point 6 is, because the living entity cannot enjoy the life of the senses without being dovetailed with the complete whole, the misleading life of sense enjoyment is illusion. That means everything we're doing in this culture of sense gratification, it's actually an illusion. Why is it an illusion? Because it comes and goes. It's not going to last. It's not, our soul is going to last, but our misconception of what is the goal of life, that is not going to last. That sense gratification is not going to last. And Prabhupada gives an example. He says, when the hand of a body is a complete unit only as long as it is attached to the complete body. When the hand is severed from the body, it may appear like a hand, but it actually has none of the potencies of a hand. Similarly, living beings are part and parcel of the complete whole, and if they are severed from the complete whole, meaning Krishna, the illusory representation of completeness cannot fully satisfy them. That's why people are suffering. That's why people are frustrated. That's why people are bored. That's why people are not satisfied by sense gratification, because they can't ever get enough of it. It's always less than what they want, right? So therefore, the whole effort for sense gratification is illusory. Point number 6, and he gives the example of the hand. What time is it now? 7:16. Okay, we're going to finish it. So, if the hand is severed from the complete whole, the illusory representation of completeness cannot fully satisfy them. So that dissatisfaction is point 7, and the fact that we do not know that there's a complete arrangement for our maintenance. That was number 5. Number 6 is that because the living entity cannot enjoy the life of the senses without being dovetailed with the complete whole, then the misleading life of sense enjoyment is illusion. And number 7 is that without a connect, similarly, the living beings are part and parcel of the complete whole, and if they are severed or cut off from the complete whole or from Krishna, the illusory representations of completeness cannot fully satisfy them. And number 8, the completeness of human life can be realized only when one engages in the service of the complete whole. All services in this world, whether social, political, communal, international, or even interplanetary, will remain incomplete until they are dovetailed with the complete whole, When everything is dovetailed with the complete whole, the attached parts and parcels also become complete in themselves. So unless we surrender to Krishna and engage in devotional service to the Lord, we will never be complete and perfect, although we're made to be complete and perfect. So you have 8 major points in this 2-page purport that is enough to go back to Godhead, if you understand this. Haribol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Are there any questions?
The key takeaway is our completeness only comes when we are serving.
Yes. And hearing. Serving and hearing. You have to hear first. Then you get convinced I should serve. That should be the rest of my life, is serving the Lord. I don't need anything else. I'm already perfect and complete. I just don't realize it because I've been misled by education, so-called education, which is not education, it's ignorance. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Haribol, Haribol. And that's what's said in this purport today also. You know? Okay, Mataji, you want to chant?
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma
Bando Moi Savadhana Mate
Bando Mui Savadana Mate
Jahara Prashade Bhai E Bhavatoriya Jai
Janar Prasade Bhai He Bhavatoriya Jai
Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hate
Krishna Prabhu Hoya
Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine
Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya
Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararajikachasta Tadasa Tadashi Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vindi Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapura Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Samavita Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavan Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi Haribo. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vinata Swamini Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurvani Pacharini Nirvisesa Sunyavani Paskati Rasatara. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which you can attain the pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can obtain and obtain the mercy of the Supreme Lord. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and Lord and master of devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread throughout all the three worlds. We take shelter of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Haribo. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya